Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlipp. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. Well, shall we continue what we did yesterday? Part 2 of why the Bears are the biggest joke of a franchise. I don't want to say ever, because that's quite a title, and I feel like the Jets and a few other franchises would debate that, but we should probably continue on with whatever it is that we're doing here. By the way, I just need to get this out here. This is Bears week. We are playing the Bears this week. If any players, coaches, whatever, happen to be listening to the show, you do understand that by me mocking the Bears for an entire week, you do have to win this game. You understand that, right? I mean, this is we're not even going to play the game where we talk about how we could possibly lose to this team. Anything can happen any given Sunday. We're just going to make fun of them. And that's it. Like for a week, basically. So whatever you got to do to make sure that you don't lose to this ridiculously awful team, please make sure that you do that. Whatever trap game insurance you got to take out, make sure you're doing your stretching. I don't need random people going out of this game. Make sure we got the right cleats on. Make sure everybody's got some good gloves on. Whatever you got to do to prevent random catastrophic events from happening that would allow this franchise that is basically has 53 players that have given up and a coach that is just trying to get through each and every day without getting fired, that just lost to the New England Patriots, and it wasn't close. I just want to be very clear on that we're not discussing whether the Packers will win. We're just going to laugh at the Bears and then expect you to do your job, and then we'll talk about serious teams after that. We're good with that, right? I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. And to be clear, this is not usually how I go about things. I like the whole you never know any given Sunday. We're not doing that this week. We're not. I'm not even necessarily asking for a blowout, although if we win in a close game next week, we're going to have some words, right? We're going to have ask some serious freaking questions. But just to be clear, you have to win, right? That's it. Okay, just making sure we're all in agreement on that. 608-501-0718 is the number to call into the call-in show if you have any issues with that or disagreements or thoughts on that. But I feel like we should all be on the same page here. We're going to win this freaking game, right? Okay. All right. So let us continue. We spent a lot of time just kind of, clearing out tabs. My computer, I'm surprised it's even up and running right now and hasn't crashed. I've got so many tabs open right now. Trying to save some of them that we can do for later, like all the Jets ones I found and everything else. I saved those in a separate folder. I still got so many that are up here. And for every one that I close, I'm finding 3 more. I just got to get off X. Because every time I scroll on there, they're like, hey, check this out. It's like, no, I can't do that right now. I can't look at that. I have too much crap to go through. So just to be clear, this is not going to be a very organized thing. We're just going to clear browser tabs here and go through how bad the Bears are. Because I can't even organize this. Plus, I'm going to just be finding stuff as I'm doing the podcast. So here we go. First of all, start with Jordy Bear here from The Bears Show. Chicago Bears Twitter GM of the year, drinker of Miller Lite, 6.9 handicap. So there you go, if you're interested. Figure if I'm going to rip off your content, I might as well plug whatever it is you got going on in life. As a noted Ryan Poles hater who's been arguing with Bears fans about this for a while, and I'm sad to say I think those arguments are going to cease because Bears fans are realizing, as has always been the case, I'm right, and I will continue to be right about the Bears. I don't think I've ever been wrong about the Bears, because all I've ever said is the Bears suck at everything, and so far I've been right about everything. It's kind of like if you just bet on the Bears to lose, you end up winning most of your money. Forgot what that was. There was I don't remember exactly, but some kind of a study about if you had just bet the Bears on the under over the last 3 years, you'd be up a ton of money. Because they've been overvalued forever because, JF won, man, he's going to be so good. They've just always overvalued this stupid team. Anyways, Jordy Bear says, has Ryan Poles made a single good move in 3 years? And he posted a picture and it is a ESPN card of Montez Sweat that shows that he has made 10 solo tackles, 3.5 sacks, which, I don't know, some Packer fans told me that Preston was dominating. It's not actually their words, but it's how they tried to lay these things out. He had 3 sacks, and he was, number one on the team. He's so good. 3.5 sacks, which is garbage. 1 forced fumble, 0 interceptions. So the Montez Sweat signing, not very good. Look, I at least appreciate that Bears fans have, Justin Fields broke them. I'm surprised Caleb hasn't, but I guess to some degree, I don't know, they're smartening it up a little bit. I'm seeing significantly more, we got to put some blame on Caleb too. There is no more defending polls to the death. There's really nobody that is untouchable anymore, and they're kind of just letting the floodgates open. And it's good because they're seeing reality. Has Ryan Poles made a single good move in 3 years is the question. Now, whether or not you think Montez Sweat was a terrible decision, I think that's pretty debatable. I think he's doing better than the pass rushers we have on our team, but it doesn't matter. It's the bottom line is they throw all this money at all these people, expecting them to come in and be superstars, and that's not what they're getting. Montez Sweat, as per usual, is having his worst year ever since his rookie year in Washington. It's just how it goes in Chicago, man. Again, whether you think he's good or bad, he's worse than he was the year before, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. Anyways, here's the Dan Patrick Show discussing the situation.
You also had the Patriots over the Bears. Yikes. Panic time in Chicago. Somebody has to get fired in Chicago today.
Yes.
Anybody.
Didn't happen, by the way, which just goes to show the levels of incompetence. I don't want it to happen because I don't want to face a Bears team with a fired coaching staff. I don't want to do that. But this is the most obvious thing in the history of the world. I mean, I called it the week that they fired Mike McCarthy. I had said that he might not survive this week, and he didn't. This is much more obvious than that. The expectations were so high with the people that you have on this team, and now not even the defense can perform, which is really the only selling point now of your head coach. He lost the locker room, his defense has imploded, and you have completely squandered any opportunity to build this quarterback. What is the point of keeping this guy after you lose to the worst team in football? I don't know, but it seems like they're going to keep going. We'll see. Week's not over. Maybe they change their mind. Again, it'd be really stupid to start the week, which has already started. They've already begun the game plan for the Green Bay Packers with this head coach, which maybe is going to be the best part about this, is if they do fire him and they do it late, they're going to have no choice but to roll with the same game plan, which I think is a big part of the reason why teams end up winning, is because you got a new guy with a new game. You never, it's a complete wild card, but if you're just going to run out the same game plan with people that don't know how to execute it, whatever. But nope, no firing as of the time of this recording.
The poor team manager walks in. Hey, Skippy, got to fire you. Why? We got to fire somebody. Special teams coach. Somebody's got to get fired. Yes, Eden.
How does it seem to happen all the time, too, that when there's 2 quarterbacks taken at the top of the draft, the second one taken is always the better one?
Yeah.
How does that keep happening?
Yeah.
Well, it keeps happening because the Bears keep picking the first one. Well, I don't know that it keeps happening. It just keeps happening to the Bears. Remember, C.J. Stroud was available to the Bears, and they said, nah, we're going to trade that pick away. Now, they traded it to the Panthers, who took Bryce, but the point is, they had C.J. in their arms and decided not to do it, and so that pick went to hell. It was the Bears' pick. So 2 years in a row, the Bears have had the number 1 pick, and 2 years in a row, that entire spot has been cursed. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be completely ruined if the Bears end up with the number 1 pick. The NFL has to do everything they can in their power to make sure that the Bears don't end up with the number 1 pick. It doesn't appear that's going to happen. Fortunately for Sanders and whoever ends up picking him, I'm sure that's going to work out splendidly. But, man, yeah, it's just sort of a Bears curse. Make sure you never trade with the Bears to go get a quarterback because that entire spot is tainted.
Yeah, I don't know. Caleb Williams, this ain't USC. And you see this with young quarterbacks. They're always a half a second late on things, or they hold on to the ball too much. Because in college, I made things happen. Hey, in college, those guys were wide open. Well,
Only certain types of quarterbacks, and that's been my point. And again, we're not getting into it yet, but we'll get into Caleb. This is the point when you look at a guy like Caleb. Everybody knew that this is who he was. He's not the fastest guy with the fastest processor upstairs. Everybody knew that. Some guys can acclimate. Some guys can see the field and make quick decisions. Other guys don't. And Justin Fields and Caleb Williams are two guys that made stuff happen on the field because they're super athletic and they do crazy stuff with their arm and with their legs and all kinds of stuff. But as far as can you stand in the pocket and deliver on time in rhythm, the answer to the question for both of those guys is no. And the Bears have learned nothing from that.
Well, they're not. You could see Caleb Williams is a half a second slow.
Yeah.
And that is an eternity in the NFL.
And I don't know that you can fix that. Again, the best thing you could do with a guy like this is you don't play until I can see that you can do this. And we try to get everything so beat into your head, the offense and everything else, that it becomes second nature so that you can react quicker. But there is a limiting factor in people's minds, right? I think it's not to say Caleb is stupid. It's to say that to be a quarterback, your mind has to be borderline superhuman in its ability to process information on a football field, to be able to see things and the deep level of understanding you have for football, and then your ability to react to it, to be able to send the signals from your brain to your arm and just react quickly with no hesitation. I don't think it's outside of the realm of reality to say that the most elite of the elite athletes in the world who play quarterback, of which there are only maybe 10 that can do it at a super high level at any given year, maybe 20 that can do it at a good level, that they have to be super intelligent. And to grab people out of college who we see do not have that ability and then say, yeah, but they're super crazy, cool, flashy, look at their highlights. And hopefully we'll just get that other stuff figured out. Yeah, okay. Well, are you going to sit him until he figures that out? No, he plays day one. Okay, well then you're stupid. I'm sorry. Of course, we got a bunch of Chicago Bears videos. I'm sure there's plenty more, but these are just a handful of clips. This is from 670 The Score. It's funny because 670 The Score actually tweeted out this clip, and what they wrote is the Bears are playing so poorly that the whatever crew is getting testy with one another. Also, the guys tell us what the Bears have to do immediately at a minimum.
These are the kinds
so the problem can't be fixed, in other words. There's no solution until this year is over and done with.
This year is probably one you're going to have to write off, either with Matt Eberflus finishing the job that he has started,
right,
or if he is fired mid-season, in-season, first time they've ever done that, then there's no plausible way that you can convince me that they were going to be contenders this year.
Well, not contenders, but isn't this supposed to be about Caleb Williams?
Yes, exactly.
So aren't you hurting him? Continued sticking with what they're doing now for the.
Well, that's today's mission.
But so how do you fix it today?
We'll find out. Today's going to be.
How does David Haw? How does Mike Mulligan?
We've been talking about that.
What do you think we're talking about?
We've been talking about that. This is what's going to happen, Dustin. Yeah. They're going to announce it at noon, or maybe they'll wait until Wednesday. But they're going to say Shane Waldron is either demoted or fired. They may be working out the details
Probably
now.
Demoted.
Thomas Brown is going to be the play caller. I would recommend change for the sake of change. Maybe it'll be somebody else like Chris Morgan. But no, that is the way they're going to address this. That is the way they're going to try to save Caleb Williams' rookie season, which seems very lost and misdirected right now.
You're going to move Shane Waldron into the eye in the sky. You move him into the press box, let him look down on things while you have a different play caller. That's what you're going to do. And if you don't do that, then you got no answer.
You have no personnel changes that you can make that make any sense.
No.
The roster is what the roster is.
That's exactly
Your
right.
coaching responsibilities can and should and need to change. That's what today should be about. If Matt Eberflus says anything else at noon, then he is as short-sighted as everyone is accusing him of being.
So, we'll see again about the offensive coordinator thing. That seems to be a popular sentiment, which makes sense. I mean, at this point, if the head coach is going to be fired, you would expect he would have been fired. The question is who's going to be the play caller. You would think that would have been done by now. They're saying that could go all the way out till Wednesday. I have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen. I guess for me, I require more evidence to just accept things, right? Like, how did you come to that conclusion is always running in the back of my head. And so when they go through this thought process, they're looking at it and they're saying, well, the main concern is Caleb, and we got to do something about Caleb. And so we need to, again, my biggest issue with everybody all the time is this notion of do something, just do something. Okay, you have to tell me what the problem is. Well, the problem's the play calling. How do you know that? What plays are they calling? Can you list them for me? Can you show me where to find the kinds of plays? And then can you show me the defensive play call and tell me why in this situation, 3rd and 5, against that defensive play call, this offensive play call is wrong. I know you can't do that because I know you haven't even looked into it because you don't want to even look into that much. You just assume that if we had a great play caller that it would make our quarterback look amazing. And what I'm saying is that I don't know that there's any changes you can make that can fix the situation for Caleb because I think Caleb is a large part of his own problem. We have to protect him. Really? And then when you throw a screen pass to, protect him and it doesn't work, you say he's an idiot play caller. Well, I'm sorry. What do you want him to do? Should he push the ball down the field or should he throw these little dink and dunk passes, which, by the way, that's the reason that Justin Fields' offense imploded at the end. Because they're stuck. They're stuck between protect Justin Fields from himself and have an offense that can produce. Well, you can't produce if you can't push the ball down the field. And when you have to cut your playbook into 10% of what it was so that you can run things that Justin Fields knows how to do, and they're mostly just short passes and screen passes and little dump-offs here and there, check downs. If that's all the guy can do, and that's all your offense is, it's not going to be anything. And you're just going to have constant pissing and moaning about how terrible these offensive coordinators are, when in reality, the offensive coordinator is only as good as his offense, and particularly only as good as his quarterback. And he has a quarterback that can't do a damn thing. And again, I don't mind because it's not really going to matter. You're going to bring in a new offensive coordinator, maybe. He's going to run new things. There's probably going to be a glimmer of success. Why? Because the defense isn't going to be prepared for it. But either by the end of that game or by next week or in 2 to 3 weeks, however long it's going to take for people to realize what this new scheme is, he's going to be shut down once again, and we're going to be back in the situation blaming the coaches again. But again, if that's what you believe, fine. Show me. Show me why it's the offensive coordinator. Even when people highlight plays on social media, they'll go on X and they'll show a play and they'll be like, oh, look at this idiot. Look at this stupid play call. Why was that a stupid play call? They'll show a wide receiver, and Packer fans do this all the time. It'll be a wide receiver screen on 3rd and 5, and DJ Moore didn't block the pass, and he gets tackled, and they say it was a stupid play call. Why? Because it didn't work? Is that your criteria for bad play calls, that it didn't work? Do the players have no agency whatsoever? Does it even matter what players you have on a field? Why do we even bother trying to find good players if really it's just a matter of calling good plays all the time? If you just call good plays, everything works. And that's how I know that nobody actually has any idea what they're talking about, especially when they're watching the game. Some people actually go back and review the games and know what they're looking at and whatnot. But for the most part, especially when it's in-game, people will decide whether or not there's good play calling based on whether or not the play is successful, and that's stupid. Again, I will always bring this up. It's blackjack. If you have 13, you hit. You have to hit. If you decide whether hitting or staying was good based on the result, you're stupid. That's not how that works. You hit on 13, and if a 10 comes up and you bust, guess what? It was still the right decision. You don't judge whether something was the right or wrong decision after the fact. If you have 20 and you hit and you get an ace, that doesn't make it a good decision. It was an unbelievably stupid decision, and you got unbelievably lucky. And the way in which you know that I'm right, that the decisions are either good or bad before the decision, not after the decision, is because if you carry it out to its if you carry this out over years, you'll have more or less success based on whether or not before the play ran, you made the right decisions. If you do that continually, you're going to have more success. If you base it on what happened after the fact, you're not even going to have a playbook, because you're going to run a play, and then you're going to say, well, that didn't work because your players failed, and then you rip it out of your playbook, you never run that again? Okay, so you're going to do that every single time a play fails, you're not going to have a playbook left. What should they have done? Let's say it's 3rd and 5 and Caleb Williams is your quarterback. What are you doing? You're not going to run it, right? Probably. And if you do, good Lord, if that doesn't work, everyone's going to lose their mind. That's what happened with Justin Fields all the time. They would run from 3rd and medium, even 3rd and long sometimes because they didn't trust Justin Fields to do a damn thing. And it's like, how dare you run on this situation? It's terrible. Well, it's because Justin Fields sucks. 3rd and 5, what are you going to do? You can't throw a screen because if that fails, you're going to get obliterated. You can't run it. You can't do any kind of jet sweep or anything like that because if that gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage, people lose their minds. Did you see him try to throw out routes? He couldn't do it. He missed all those throws. These are simple out routes. That's like a Matt LaFleur bread and butter. 3rd and 5, quick out route. Boom. It's a timing, rhythm thing. Nice and easy. We'll get to that. I mean, there's videos of that right now. The guy couldn't throw. He can't throw them. It's too hard for him. He doesn't throw on time. He doesn't throw in rhythm. His feet are not in the right place, and he can't throw accurately. Wouldn't it make sense to throw a wide receiver screen and trust these playmakers that are proven players to be able to do their job? To be able to make a play after the catch? Wouldn't you trust them more than Caleb? I would. So I would run that play. And the fact that you have a wide receiver who's too stupid to remember to block, a veteran receiver who should know better, who just chooses not to block and it gets blown up, and the fans are going to yell at me for a stupid play call? Bro, F all of you. You're all stupid. You call the freaking plays. This isn't even me defending. I'm just saying that this is not coming from a place, this complaining about the play calling is not coming from a place of actually understanding the play calls. Because the bottom line is they're running an offense that can't work no matter what you do. I don't think we've taken a break yet. Why don't we take a break? And we'll be back and got some more 670 to the score. This is DJ Moore commenting on fans booing.
DJ, the Boo Birds were out yesterday. I don't know. It appeared like at one point you acknowledged them. You know it will continue unless things turn around. What's your general philosophy with handling people booing, and what was that all about yesterday?
Yeah, I don't know. We was getting booed in the first quarter, so I couldn't even tell you. Like, the game just started, and we was already getting booed. It was eye-opening. But then you got some fans that's just cheering on certain players and talking to certain players, and you got other fans going at certain players and talking trash to them. Like, I thought it was all one fan base and one team. But, I mean, I get it. They got a lot invested just as we do.
Now, there's nothing scandalous about this call. I just love this because this is the kind of thing that if you could just go back to August with all the Bears fans talking so much trash and just hand them this. This is just one of those, here's a quick update on how things are going mid-season type of things. I love that they're to the point, and this happened all the time in the past couple of years, where the Bears fans are so ready to hate this team. Every week they're going to give them a chance. They're going to be ready for this game. They're not going to expect to beat the Packers, but they're going to come out and be like, please, please, please. They're going to throw one incompletion, and this fan base is going to melt down. You freaking bunch of stupid, sucky idiots. They're just a very short leash for this team left. So, yeah, in the first quarter, they're going to start giving up. Here's another really good video. This is Bill Belichick on the Pat McAfee show and talking about philosophy, talking about how teams should build. And again, I agree with this. And I've said this for years. Build from the inside out, not the outside in. You don't go get a quarterback and then get receivers and then see if you can hodgepodge an offensive line together. Build a dominant offensive and defensive line and then build around that. That's the way you do it. It's going to take a long time, and teams don't have the patience for that. And by the way, this video reinforces, you always kind of forget offensive line, or at least I do, because it's like, well, they're pretty decent. It's not the biggest issue. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, if you want to be just an unbelievably good team, go get a dominant offensive line. I'm just saying.
I don't think the Bears are looking to be that. I think the Bears are looking to, they draft a quarterback with the first pick. They go out and take another receiver. They got receivers all over the place. They got a tight end. And, we got all these weapons for the quarterback. But we talked about this at the beginning of the year. There's issues on the offensive line. Now they got a couple guys hurt. I mean, now they scored 3 points. I don't know. They haven't scored in I don't know how long. How many drives have it before since they've scored? Well,
by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt Bill Belichick, who's on a roll. The Bears, by the way, are the ultimate fan team. The Bears do exactly what fans want all the time. They are very aggressive in free agency. They spend more money. Their entire team is made up of free agents. They do nothing in the draft because they don't value draft picks. Fans are always upset. You value picks too much. You value picks too much. Giving away players for picks pisses everybody off. What they want is give away picks for players. The Bears do that. They give away all their picks for players. They get the flashy quarterbacks. They go get wide receivers. They need everything. What do they go get wide receivers. That's the most important thing to a fan that you can do. They have a receiver. What do they do? In free agency, they go get a wide receiver. And then in the draft, what do? They go get a wide receiver. And then they go get a running back. They get all the flashy stuff. This is exactly what fans want. The Bears are the ultimate fan team. If a fan ran a team, it would be the Chicago Bears. It would be the New York Jets, by the way. They would have gone out and got Aaron Rodgers to fix their team. That's how they fix their problems. These are the fan teams. And it doesn't work. Because at the end of the day, if you want to build a good team, you do what Bill Belichick is saying and what teams like the Packers do. It's not the flashy stuff. It's not the fun stuff. It's not fast. It's slow. You build a good team slowly, and nobody wants to do that. The Bears have all the flashy stuff, and they can't do a damn thing.
Well, it's not because not because they didn't draft a quarterback, not because they don't have receivers, but there's issues on the offensive line. It's the way the team's built. It certainly wasn't built like I keep saying San Diego, like the Chargers were built. I mean, they have a different model, different format. I mean, same thing at Detroit. Detroit went out and did what? Got 2 good tackles and a good center. Well, it's not a bad place to start. Then you start filling in around it with the quarterback, with the running back, with the receivers, and it's just a different model.
Football's always going to be this. When football matters, it always comes down to this. Feels like it. Doesn't it, Bill? It really does. When football starts to matter, it feels like you have to be able to punch somebody in the mouth. Like, that has to happen.
Well, 100%, because...
By the way, this is probably the biggest reason the Packers struggle in the postseason. What did he say? When football matters, because that's when you're playing all the best teams. At the end of the day, the Packers always lost because they played those teams that punch you in the mouth, whether it be Tampa Bay or the 49ers or whatever, and they couldn't overcome that. You can do flashy stuff. You can beat bad teams by 20, 30 points. That's why I said Buffalo is always that team. They'll run up the score on bad teams. They have great point differentials, but they don't win Super Bowls. Why? Because they're the team that can run up a score on bad teams, but they can't play smash mouth football against the best teams. That's the biggest issue I have with point differential. Point differential will tell you the teams that can run up scores on bad teams, and then they lose just by a little. But you know what? They lose. They lose to Dallas, too. Dallas, not this year, but they've always been a team they'll run up 20, 30 points on a bad team, but then you go up against a competent team, they'll beat the living crap out of you. The Packers have to learn to be a tougher team, and they're getting there. I do appreciate the fact that they're getting there, especially on defense and whatnot. I think they need to continue that because that is what it's going to take, and this is coming from a guy who won lots of Super Bowls by being just a very strong, disciplined team. Strong defense, strong offensive lines, and then guys that just did their job. And really, that's kind of what the Lions' framework is. Maybe not defense as much, but strong in the trenches, get a couple pieces, and then be really disciplined. That's the model.
Sooner or later, you're going to run into somebody that's going to play the game that way, and you got to be able to fight back. That's why, we'll see what happens with Baltimore and Pittsburgh, not just this week, but all the way through. But the teams that come out of that division, they're going to come out of there tough, physical, and let's call it battle hardened. And, you get that from the AFC North. Like that's just the way they play. And, I'd say Cleveland, even though they've had some issues, I'd say defensively, if you play good against their defense, that's a pretty good sign. So, that's what that division is. You're battle hardened when you come out of there. That's a lot like it was when I was with the Giants in the NFC East in the 80s. After you play Washington, Philadelphia, and Dallas, whoever could survive that, had a pretty good chance against San Francisco.
So there you go. The Bears, and this is why everybody buys into the Bears, because the most of the guys that you're going to see when it comes to the national media and whatnot, not talking Bill Belichick, because he actually understands football, but a lot of these NFL shows, that are on, even with former players, they don't know a damn thing. You pretend because they're former players they know stuff. No, they're on there bragging about how amazing the Bears are going to be because they don't understand football at a fundamental level. And I'm not pretending that I do, but I understand the basics, and I understand because I've observed enough things. I watched the Bears do all this before and fail. How can you be so stupid as to come back and watch the Bears do all these stupid things? Because again, listen, I approach things from an understanding of what Ted Thompson has done for this team for years. This is how football teams work when they work well. And I'm watching them through the lens of what would Ted Thompson do, and I'm just watching the Bears and thinking, you are the dumbest people on planet Earth. So why am I not surprised when the Bears fail, when everybody else, maybe not necessarily Packer fans, certainly not a lot of people that listen to this podcast, but a lot of people who just casually watch NFL programs and they talk about how great the Bears are going to be. Why are they surprised and I'm not? Because they don't look at it through a Ted Thompson lens. They're all people that still think Ted Thompson is stupid. I mean, even Aaron Rodgers is over there with the Jets right now talking about, there's a couple years, maybe we could have done something in free agency, because he still doesn't get it. He's a players guy. He's one of these players guys that thinks we should have paid all the old guys because they're loyal people, and we should have went out in free agency and spent all this money because I needed more weapons. That's why he's a player and not a GM. He can read a defense. He can't build a team. And that's true of a lot of these players who are on there thinking players are the most important thing. And if you go out in free agency and just pay a guy, $30 million, that's going to change everything. And then it doesn't do anything. The Bears go out and spend all this money on linebackers and running backs and wide receivers, and they draft quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, and it's not quarterbacks that actually on a deep fundamental level are very good football players. It's guys that are flashy. And nobody can understand why that's not working. Because the Bears are not a serious organization doing serious football stuff. They're not run by actual football people. I now know that because I'm watching what they're doing, and this is not how serious football people act. And despite Bears fans' screechings, this is not because of the owners of the Bears. You don't expect your owners to be football people. They hire football people. They hired a guy to be the team president to be a football person who's not doing his job. They hired Poles to be a football person. That guy's not doing his job. You hired Eberflus to be a coach and do football stuff, and he's not doing his job. Those are the people that need to be football people, and they're not. Here is ESPN Greeny, which maybe I just never really understood this guy. I think he's become more opinionated. I always felt like he was the guy that was just sort of the moderator. He just kind of stayed in the middle. He would ask other people their opinion. He would just kind of stay neutral. The last several times I've seen him, he is very opinionated, and it's always about hating the Bears. Maybe he's a Bears fan, and that's why. I don't know. But here is ESPN Greeny on ESPN Radio talking about the Bears.
Caleb Williams is, if you're going to view a quarterback as a lump of clay that needs to be molded into something, he had the best clay. Like whatever the high.
By the way, that's very much opinion. He's going to pretend it's not. He's going to pretend everybody knew that. Everybody agreed on that. That's not true. Everybody did not agree on that. Several people did not have Caleb Williams at the top. Some people, one of them who is not seen as very reputable, but he was very loud the entire time saying, this guy is guaranteed to be a bust. I'm telling you that. He's doing victory laps like crazy right now. But he is a self-proclaimed NFL scout and whatnot. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it was not a guarantee. He did flashy stuff. He had flashy highlights. That doesn't mean that you have the best clay. But whatever. We'll go with this for now.
Highest quality. If you're Michelangelo and you're going to make a sculpture out of clay, the first thing you got to do is make sure you have the right quality clay, right? Well, this clay was the best clay. But to this point, the sculpture that has been sculpted by Sean Payton with lesser clay in Bo Nix is better. The sculpture that has been sculpted by Dan Quinn.
By the way, the reason I liked Bo Nix is you got to understand, the reason I didn't like, or the critiques I'm having right now of Caleb are because the situation with Rodgers and a lot of other guys, what I realized is this exact issue is now going to become my main issue when I look at quarterbacks. That is processing speed. I spent so much time trashing Justin Fields because I realized the flaw with Justin Fields is his inability to read a defense, his inability to very quickly read, I'm talking post-snap, read what's happening and react and throw on time, in rhythm, accurately to the right person. And that became like the main thing I looked for. Bo Nix was one of the best I saw at doing that. So the idea that Bo Nix is some bum second-round pick that got taken too early and Caleb is significantly better and he's got better clay, no. He throws a better sidearm ball. He's got great arm strength. He can throw on the run. Like, he can do crazy stuff. But as I've said already, doing crazy stuff is good after the fact. That's the last 5%. That's what takes you from a good quarterback to a great quarterback. But you have to become a good quarterback first. You're not automatically a good quarterback because you do that extra stuff. It's like having some really good cheese can absolutely make a burger better, right? It's like taking a plain burger compared to a burger with cheese on it. It's just better. Cheeseburger's just better, man. But you can't just take a lump of cheese and say this is going to be a great cheeseburger. Well, I mean, do we have a bun? Do we have a burger? Like, it's not a burger. It's just a lump of cheese. Caleb Williams is just cheese, man. And everybody want to talk about how he's going to make a great cheeseburger because he's got all this cheese. Like, okay.
And Cliff Kingsbury of Jaden Daniels with lesser clay, which again, just to be clear, he does not have more talent than Caleb Williams does.
And again, that's your. Here's what you're doing wrong when you say stuff like that. What you're doing is you're taking sort of these special attributes that Caleb has, and you're pretending these are the only ones that matter, and you're ignoring the more nuanced things. You're ignoring, for example, all the things that are making him a great quarterback right now. You're just ignoring them. There are other things that are not as flashy, that are not as obvious, that are not as exciting, that make a quarterback a great quarterback. Some quarterbacks that are good quarterbacks happen to be flashy. Some are not flashy, but that doesn't mean you are a good or not good quarterback. Saying that Jaden Daniels is not as talented is just an incorrect thing to say. It looks to me he's significantly more talented. Now, can he do some of the trick shot stuff that Caleb can? No. But is that all we're talking about? Because if that's all you're talking about, then you're not talking about talent, and you're not talking about anything worth talking about. In fact, just having the discussion should maybe show you that what you determine to be the only things that are encompassed in talent, maybe you're misunderstanding what makes somebody talented. But nobody wants to stop and have that self-reflection. We'd rather just blame the coaching staff rather than saying, maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Maybe I'm looking at quarterbacks wrong and assuming that the guys with the best highlight reels are going to make the best quarterbacks, which is why I thought Justin Fields was for sure going to be a shoo-in, because sometimes he throws these accurate passes, so I know it's in there somewhere. And because he can run really fast and do all this stuff, so now because you can do it sometimes, that means you can do it all the time. You've seen this. You've seen Bears fans do this when you argue with them. It's called a hasty generalization for those that put that in your back pocket, because it's a very common thing you see on social media. You'll say things like Justin Fields, or in this case, Caleb Williams, is not accurate. And they'll go and show you a highlight reel of him being accurate. What are they doing wrong? Again, the term is hasty generalization. But the point is, you're taking a small sample size and you're saying that because you can do it sometimes, you can do it all the time. Or because it applies to some things, it applies to all things. Obviously, I use the robot to help me look up hasty generalization, so let me read what it actually means. This occurs when someone makes a broad conclusion based on a limited or unrepresentative sample. This is essentially what Greeny is doing, by the way. He's taking a small, limited piece of data and he's applying it to the whole. He's saying because he can do these 3, 4, 5 crazy things, that means he's more talented than Jaden Daniels. It says, in this case, assuming that because something can be done occasionally, it can always be done, overlooks potential variables and complexities that may prevent consistent outcomes. I mean, we know this. You ever play darts? Have you ever hit a bullseye? You ever notice that people who are good at darts and bad at darts occasionally will get a bullseye? Kids can get a bullseye. That doesn't mean a child is as good as a professional darts player. Anyways, sorry to keep interrupting. Please continue.
Is a trillion times better. I mean, it's the statue of David. And even what's going on with Drake May on what is the worst team in the NFL or close to it looks infinitely better and looks at least like it's heading in the right direction.
And by the way, that goes completely against the entire narrative that it's the team that's ruining everything. Look at what Drake May's dealing with. He's not in a good situation. What around him is so great? He's developing on his own as he gets more playing time. And we could just say, well, maybe it's he's got a good quarterback coach and head coach that are developing. Maybe, maybe not. And maybe Caleb does too. We can play the maybe game in any direction you want. I was recently looking through with my half-Mexican attorney these razors. I didn't really I've heard of Occam's razor. I didn't realize there's a whole list of philosophical razors. One of them, and all of these are fantastic, you should look at them, it's called Hitchens' razor. It says, what can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Everything that everybody is saying is being asserted without evidence. So guess what? I can dismiss it without evidence. Calling in and saying maybe is useless.
Infinitely more than what's going on in Chicago. And so I'm trying to keep track of what's going on there, but they're delaying coaches' press conferences, and are they firing or not firing or moving on from the offensive coordinator, taking his play calling duties away? The Bears are a failure. They're an organizational failure. This was predictable. With the Bears, this was so easy to see. And everyone saw it. This dopey talk show host sitting right here on the radio screamed and yelled over and over again. Don't start over again without a new coach. Don't do to Caleb what you did to Trubisky and what you did to Justin Fields. This kid is more talented than the two of them put together. He's a magician.
Again, I don't even want to argue because I love when people just trash the Bears, but there's a lot wrong with what he's saying. First of all, what do you mean what you did to Justin and what you did to Trubisky? Do you know how many different coaches there have been? So what you're saying is get a new coach, which you've done numerous times, right? And it hasn't fixed anything. So you're saying that what you need to do is the thing that you've been doing that isn't working. Because what I don't want you to do is to keep doing the same thing that you've been doing that isn't working. What is it that they've been doing that isn't working? Because it seems to me what they've been doing that isn't working is continually fire your coaches, bring in new ones that also suck. By the way, Matt Nagy, that garbage piece of crap, he's still the Chiefs' offensive coordinator. As soon as you guys fired him as head coach, the Chiefs are like, yeah, I'll definitely take him back. And the Chiefs just continue rolling right now. So the idea that he's just this stupid, bumbling moron, okay, yeah. I mean, maybe he shouldn't have been a head coach. I don't know. But he's thriving with the Chiefs right now. Probably not the case with everybody. I'm guessing the reputation of a lot of coaches after they've been with the Bears goes to zero. But again, a whole bunch of essentially they got the best coach and they ruined it because they didn't. And he's right. They should have gotten a whole new staff. That should have happened. However, as a counterpoint, the head coach is a defensive guy. The defense was incredible. So why don't you hire an offensive coordinator who's going to run the offense and be in charge of developing Caleb, which is exactly what they did, except you don't like the one that they hired because it isn't working. And what I'm asking you is, how do you know it's not working because of the quarterback? How do you know? But whatever. The ESPN radio, the Bears are a failure. They're an organizational failure. That is the quote here. Fine. It's fine. I will agree with you, Greeny.
You see the way he throws the ball? He's like Kent to Colby, which I know is like a reference that's dated to everybody but Hembo.
Good pull.
But the way that sidearm, he has magic in him.
See what I mean? That sidearm. Ooh, the sidearm. So what about the stupid side? You guys are obsessed with the dumbest crap, I swear. You are so stupid. You're so attracted to the shiny objects all the time. It drives me nuts. I'm sorry. I'm trying to agree with you, but it's so unbelievably stupid. The guy can't throw an out route, and you're bragging about how cool he looks throwing a sidearm pass in college. God.
It needs to be cultivated. It needs to be molded. He's got incredibly good clay. Mm-hmm. And the Bears have turned him into silly putty. They've turned him into something that your kids play with for like 3 days, and then it gets too hard because you didn't close the top, and you just have to throw it away and move on to the next one. And that's what they did with the previous two guys. And that's the direction this thing is going. And that goes right to the top. Right to the top. This is not a Caleb Williams problem. This is not a Matt Eberflus problem. It's not a Shane Waldron problem. It is a Chicago Bears organizational problem because they let it happen.
Okay. Again, I don't want to argue, but I cannot believe we're 43 minutes in. I mean, this really is going to be a week long. I haven't even hardly scratched the freaking surface. Who is to blame? Because here's the problem I have with a lot of Bears fans. They love everything that the Bears do until it doesn't work, and then they pretend like everybody knew it was a bad decision. You're going to sit here and tell me that everybody wasn't doing backflips about Matt Eberflus? You're going to sit here and tell me that Bears fans were mad about the Shane Waldron hire? You're going to tell me that they didn't gush over Ryan Poles as though he wasn't the greatest GM hire of all time? You're going to tell me the entire world didn't bow down to the decision to hire Kevin Warren, which again, I would say on paper made absolute sense. I wasn't in there. I didn't come up with the criteria. I wasn't in the meetings. I didn't sit down with Kevin Warren to decide if this is the right, where did you go? There we go. The right decision or not. There hasn't been a single decision that the Bears have made that Bears fans didn't love. What they don't like is the outcome. But I'm asking you, which decision did they make? And this is what Bears fans will never want to answer. What single decision did they make that was the worst? And then I want to go back and see what your opinion was of that decision at the time. You could say, well, I'm not the one that needs to make these decisions, which I think is fair. But you're also the one sitting here telling me what the solutions are. So why would I listen to you saying what the solutions are when you're telling me that you've been so stupid in the past? Maybe you're wrong about that too, like you've been wrong about everything else. Like you were wrong about Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy and every other person that's been brought in. Like, you were wrong about Justin Fields, like you're wrong about everybody. Why would I listen to you now? There is a problem. I think the issue with the issue is that you don't know what the issue is. And I think Bears fans and everybody else are oversimplifying this and just trying to put all the blame on one guy and assuming, and they've been doing this for years, and I've said this for years, they shift the blame. They put all the blame on one guy, and then they assume when that guy's gone and we fix it, then boom, we're going to be elite. And then what do? They eventually replace that guy. They're not elite. They shift the blame to somebody else. Right? It was Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator. They get rid of Luke Getsy. What happens? Nothing. Well, they get tired of Justin Fields. We got to get rid of Justin Fields. So they get rid of Justin Fields. They bring in a new quarterback. Now we're going to be great, and nothing changes. Well, it was always the head coach. Everybody knew it was the head coach. We got to get rid of the head coach. Guess what? You're going to get rid of the head coach, and what's going to happen? Nothing. How is that going to fix anything? How is that going to fix anything? You think somebody's going to come in and just like download into Caleb Williams' brain how to sink his feet with a brand new offensive system on day one? He's not only going to understand the playbook, he's going to understand the rhythm of it. He's going to have everything down. These things are going to take a long time. He's halfway through the season trying to learn one system. Now you're going to try to put him through a brand new system, and you think that's going to fix something? Let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, let's do the third segment here with more Chicago Bears breakdown type stuff. I thought this was kind of hilarious. So this is We Are Back Ben Johnson, who's contributor for DeWindy City FS and co-host of Bears Blog Boys podcaster. He says, I made a lot of content for an article I was going to write about how the Bears wide receivers are being misused. I'm not going to write that article because there's much more at play with why the Bears offense is broken. I still think it's a major issue, though, so here's a thread. And he puts a thread together. I just think it's the only reason I saved this is I thought it was hilarious. The guy has content. He has content about a problem with the offense, and he gets to the point where he just says, you know what? Screw it. Screw it. Just forget it. What's the point? Why bother talking about that when there's so many issues here? And we're just going to hone in on like, oh, look at the one. Here's a video of one of the best breakdowns to happen. This is David Kaplan. We've played him a ton. He's over at ESPN Chicago. One of the very, optimistic type of Bears fans. There's always a bunch of these guys, especially in the more, I don't want to say national media, but like Chicago media. Not AM necessarily. Those guys get to scream it, but some of these guys that we've played before, they try to be so positive all the time. Here he is trying to have a phone conversation with Matt Eberflus on the radio.
We're looking at this week and this week only. We do have evidence on tape that we've played good football during the course of this year. We got to pull on those experiences.
Coach, your cell phone's as bad as the offense right now.
All right, we'll put them on hold and see if we can reestablish.
Damn! I mean, come on, man. This is 2024. Can we get a freaking landline? I mean, what are we doing? Seriously. Get the man a phone that works, please.
We'll try to reestablish with Matt Eberflus momentarily. You're on the
I'm serious.
Cap and J Hood Morning Show.
Yeah, Cap, you're not wrong. Communication issues prevalent all season for the football team.
I mean, his phone line's as bad as Waldron's play calling. I mean, what are we doing?
Any answers there that suffice?
No, because he doesn't want to use the word crisis, but it is. If last week wasn't a crisis, you are in crisis. Kevin Byard says, I'm not going to go there when asked if these coaches could still, have the room. Cole Kmet 3 weeks ago was talking about the preparation. Jalen Johnson, DJ Moore. You're in crisis. Just say it. Yes, this is a freaking crisis, and we better close ranks and find a way to fix this. Because it's freaking embarrassing to have a charter franchise look that god-awful, unprepared, uninspired, and it falls at his feet. It does. Say it.
And the answers are the same.
Christ's sake.
They're the same answers, though, because for a couple years, he never put it on himself. And now this year, he's saying, yeah, it's all on me. It falls on me. Yeah, it does. It always fell on you as a head coach. All of it. When he's the head coach, it always falls. It's just this last few games now, he's saying that the issues with the football team falls on him. I would imagine, since he's not calling back, that'll be all for Matt Eberflus.
I've never heard him that angry before. I mean, this is breakdown, especially for the, I think, generally more positive fans, where it's like, oh, come on, it's maybe not that big of a deal. I mean, to scream like that, oh, that makes me happy. And he's not wrong, because it's just indicative of everything that's going on. To be such a disaster of a franchise and to not have coverage, you're presumably in the middle of Chicago. Now, granted, maybe your office is surrounded by quite a bit of cement or whatever, but you would think you'd have a lot of antennas or freaking boosters of some kind. I mean, you're the Chicago Bears. You need cell phones to work in the building. Like he said, get a landline. I mean, yeah, you would also think that he'd be in his office. You could pick up an actual phone that is connected into a jack that can get out of the building and directly connect with the studio. That shouldn't really have any dropouts. How I don't know. It's like everything else with the Chicago Bears. You just look at it and go, I'm trying to understand how you could have this problem, and I don't know how you could be having this problem. In 2024, you have a cell phone and you don't have good enough coverage to call in to a local Chicago radio station. You're probably down the street. You could yell out your window and probably hear better. Since we're on a Bears fans being super ticked off run here is Bill on the Northwest Side calling into 670 The Score.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Bill is on the Northwest Side. Bill, welcome to The Score. How are you?
I'm pissed off. That's how I'm doing. I mean, what we saw today was a disgrace. I am very happy, and I want to disagree with Olin 100%. I am glad the Bears players came out and said that the coaches were incompetent. I mean, for Matt Eberflus to come back after the Washington game and say that the second play before the play before the Hail Mary had nothing to do with them losing is BS. That's number one. Okay? And then come out today again against the team and get slaughtered at home. Now you're facing the Packers, Minnesota, and Detroit back-to-back weeks. And you expect this, and tomorrow morning, he's going to go and meet the Bears media, and he's going to say we had a meeting, and everything is great, and we're all on the same page. Well, what page are they on? He's full of crap. He should be fired right this minute. And what he did to Caleb Williams again today, under 2 minutes, losing by 16 points, and he's getting the crap kicked out of him. And he leaves him in the game to get his head bashed in. I hope Caleb Williams' father tonight, I hope he tweets something so bad that it gets Matt Eberflus fired.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate the phone call and the passion.
I think that's everybody in Chicago right now.
Yeah, I think it's everybody.
I mean,
that's every
99%
fan.
of Chicago.
I hope Caleb Williams' dad tweets something so bad it gets him fired. Oh, man, I love this. I also love that Caleb Williams' dad is attached to Caleb Williams through this whole time. I'm sure there have been several sit-down conversations of, please stop tweeting. You're getting me in a lot of trouble. But I have a feeling that can only last for so long. Got to remember to check in on that guy once in a while. Here's another guy that we have on here quite regularly. This is Eddie Barstool, obviously from Barstool. Like I said, a lot of Bears fans over at Barstool for some weird reason.
All right, Bears lose to the Patriots, and listen, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but this is a fucking disgrace. This is a true disgrace. I never thought that we would see levels of bad like we did during the Mark Trestman years, but I think Eberflus is pretty fucking hot in his tail. I think he's pretty fucking hot in his tail, and I think George McCaskey needs to pull his fucking head out of his ass and fire him before he does irreparable damage to Caleb Williams. This is negligence by George. Negligence. This is like buying a $50 million mansion on the coast of Florida and not having insurance, knowing damn well that you get hit by a couple hurricanes once in a while. It's negligence by the McCaskey family. Fucking negligence. Fix it, George. You have the power to fucking fix it. Do it!
Going back to 670 The Score here. Here is noted hothead Olin Kreutz. He has a personality over there and has a reputation for sure. He's a football player. There's no doubt about that. But Here are his very measured thoughts on the Chicago Bears.
It's not often you're embarrassed to be associated with the organization that just put on that show they put on there at Soldier Field against what we called a lot of times in the pregame show the worst football team in the NFL. Right, to come out there and put that kind of performance on the field, on film. We talked about you'd be worried about them after you watch them against the Arizona Cardinal game. Can we all stop now? Can we all stop saying that it's not a problem when you question your coach after a Hail Mary? Can we all stop saying it's not a problem when you come out and say the offensive coordinator doesn't come up with the first 15? Can we all stop saying that it's not a problem when the wide receiver questions the coach's calls? There is a way that football works. You're either coaching it or you're allowing it. And right now in the Chicago Bears building, you are allowing this kind of performance on a football field, and it all starts with the people at the top. But we've been saying that, Pat, for too long at Hallis Hall.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good saying, by the way. You're either coaching it or allowing it. And I think there are certain times when you look at the Packers and you can see that. You know, and I think a way that I would rather put it is either you're pushing or being pulled. There are times where you can feel the culture and the coaching and everything pushing in a direction. You can feel good teams pushing. You're just watching them execute a plan that has been developed and built into a team. There are times when you're just watching the Packers coaches on the sideline watching a thing happen to them. And that certainly is the case from the coin toss until the final seconds of the game that happens to the Chicago Bears. Things just happen to them.
And I hate to toot my own horn, but I did. I picked the Pats, right? I just had a bad feeling this morning.
I think I got a text or a tweet that said, call him soothsayer, Manley, after the game.
But what I'm saying there, everything Olin just summed up there is kind of what I felt this morning. I was worried about this team and what they were going to be today and what was going to show up. And what showed up was what I thought was going to happen. They can't deal with all of this adversity. They have too many damn meetings. They talk too much. They're not taking care of business. Obviously, they have some injuries. You can't use those injuries as an excuse against this Patriots team.
Yeah, and that kind of goes to what I said yesterday. They're having too many meetings. They talk too much. That's what I'm saying. This is why the Bears feel corporate to me. When things aren't going wrong, what do? We got to have a bunch of emails. Everyone's got to send emails. We got to have a group email, and then we got to get together. We have a group meeting. We got to have meetings. Do you know how much that drives me crazy? All the meetings. For what? Bro, just tell me what you want. We're wasting so much time. Everybody come here. Everybody sit down. Let's talk about our feelings. Let's talk about our grievances and let's develop a plan. What do we do? You know, we got to go through the 7 Chinese art of healing. You know, the Japanese over there, they created this thing and it's this great program and we're going to go through it and we're going to read together and we're going to work through Bro, shut up. You're so stupid. You're so stupid. Go take that over to GM. Go work at their corporate office. That has no place in a locker room. So stupid. Well, and it looks like they did fire Shane Waldron. I can see that now. Garofolo, Bears fire offensive coordinator Shane Waldron after 10 games. Well, there you go. And guess what? Nobody's going to be happy. Nobody cares. He's the fall guy. That's all it is. Anyways, let's rip through a couple more here. We've got a couple TikToks we got to do.
The Bears, they're dead. But what's not dead is our season-long battle between the Bears offense and their punter on who has more total yards. So after the Week 10 loss to the Patriots, let's see where we're at. Reminder, we're doing this because on draft night, Caleb Williams texted his punter saying, hey, you're not going to punt too much. That text message aged especially poorly today as the Bears were forced to punt 8 times, and it probably should have been more with how many times they went for it on 4th down at the end of the game. So now we're sitting at Bears' entire offense, 2,499 yards to Torrey Taylor, the punter, 2,153 yards. He's catching up. And for the first time since I think Week 2 or Week 3, Torrey Taylor, the punter, has more yards than Caleb Williams by over 100 yards. I'm starting to feel really bad for the Bears fans out there because the Bears have now gone 22 straight drives without scoring a touchdown. They obviously didn't score any today, but they haven't scored a touchdown since they played the Commanders, and that was 2 weeks ago. Brutal. I hate to keep beating a dead horse if you're a Bears fan, but your next 8 games are a gauntlet. Packers twice, Vikings twice, Lions twice, Niners, Seahawks. It does not get any harder than that in the NFL. So if you got excited that the punter has more yards than the quarterback, and you want to make sure that you don't miss when the punter takes over the entire offense, toss me a follow, and I will see you next Sunday.
Such a fantastic stat, by the way. I went and looked it up. First of all, as we know, the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer, which is just freaking hilarious. I mean, it's not even that hard, dude. We added an extra game to the schedule just so you can get to 4,000 yards. You still can't do it. Caleb Williams is on pace for, I think, like 3,300 passing yards, and Torrey Taylor is on pace for over 4,000 yards, which is hilarious. I did look it up. That has happened 4 times in Bears history. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Torrey Taylor is on pace, and maybe he's the 4th, whatever. Let's just say he's the 4th. He's on pace to be the 4th punter, 4th or 5th, to cross 4,000 yards before a single quarterback has done it. That's crazy. That's super crazy.
I usually never do this. There's 5 minutes left. We're leaving early. I don't even care. I don't care. This team sucks. Yes. Bro, I watch your video. This team sucks, right? They f***ing suck, man. They suck. This team sucks. They suck. We lose to the Patriots at home. The Patriots. The Patriots who suck. Let's see. Fire. Eberflus. Yes, that should happen tomorrow. This is unbelievable. I don't believe that we lost. It's laughable. I'm not even mad. I'm seriously just walking through this concourse. Just can't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I don't believe it one bit. We just lost to the New England Patriots with Drake May. We just lost to them. This team sucks. They suck. You guys know I like to be as positive as I can about the Chicago Bears team, but this team sucks. They suck. They suck so much. They're horrible. Bear down, I guess. I'll be back here next week against Green Bay, and it's not going to be pretty. It's not. Bear down.
And then there's 2 more things I want to go through, but we can't not play, the absolute best of the best when it comes to Bears meltdowns.
3rd and 4. Get home. Get home! They're gonna get to him! Please, defense. May. He caught that? Please get rid of the football, Caleb! Come on, man! Play fake, May. TJ Edwards, pick! Please. DJ. What is that play call on 3rd down? May. He's got an open man for a touchdown. Great. 3rd and 8. Caleb. They're coming again. That's another sack. Another sack. What am I watching? Nobody has it worse than Chicago Bears fans.
I shouldn't laugh because no human being deserves this. This isn't right. Like I said, if I was the writer, I wouldn't have written it this way. I wouldn't make them lose to the Patriots. I would have given them hope against the Patriots, and then they would have lost to the Packers, and then they'd win a couple more down the stretch, and they'd miss the playoffs. It wouldn't have been a good season. Lose to the Patriots. What did they do? What did they do that was so bad? Anyways, I'm going to end on this one here. This is probably complete and total nonsense, but I find it hilarious that it's even being talked about, and so we're absolutely going to be playing this. This is Adam Schefter.
But I would expect that there'll be some sort of change in Chicago on the offensive side of football. Is that changing the play caller? Is that changing the quarterback and benching Caleb Williams for Tyson Bagent? I think all these things are being discussed in the building today, and ultimately the organization has to figure out what is the best course of action for this franchise to move forward and to protect everybody. Like, you've got...
Yeah. So this is why, by the way, Adam Schefter, guys like that, these people are insiders, and that's what they're valuable for. Telling you things that they know. Asking them to prognosticate, if that's even the right word, asking them to kind of try to think through things and just general opinion type stuff. Don't bring Adam Schefter on to give his just random opinions on things. And especially since one of the major issues, not only do I not think he's very good at that, one of the major issues is people are going to see this. For example, here's the tweet from Kyle, or I'm Kyle Mangum. Okay. Adam Schefter says the Bears are considering benching Caleb Williams for Tyler Bagent. He didn't say that. He absolutely didn't say that. But that's going to be circulating all over the place because that's what Adam Schefter is known for. He breaks news. So when he says things, people assume it's something that he knows, and most of the time he has no idea. He's speculating, but he can't turn down an opportunity to make money and get on in front of a camera. So rather than just saying, honestly, I have no information on that, I'll let you know, I'll text you or something if I find out, but I don't really have anything on it. He gets out here and starts speculating they're going to bench the quarterback. They're not going to bench Caleb. They won't even fire the head coach. Of course, they're not going to bench Caleb. They're going to throw the offensive coordinator under the bus, and they're going to continue on. It's the coach's way of surviving the day. All eyes are on him. What are we going to do to fix this? So the head coach says what? He only has one move left. Fire the offensive coordinator. It's his last move. But it's still hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious that that's even out there. Bears fans obviously are furious in the comment section. You piece of garbage. I saw even the QB school guy gave him 2 middle fingers for that. Presumably he's out there talking about how great Caleb is. I have no idea. Nobody else is, but I don't care. I don't even want to watch it because I don't want to hear it. But I'm going to leave you guys with that. I don't know how this went so fast. Still have more to go through. So it shall be tomorrow. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.